All right, guys, so we are going to look into how we are going to assess your understanding of balancing reactions, what we've been working on the last couple weeks or so. Right, so we're gonna shift things up a little bit again and assess you guys using a different method. And this time, right, what we're gonna have you guys do essentially is there's an attached Google Sheet to Classroom that you'll find your name and find out which two reactions you're responsible for. You're going to figure out how to take those two reactions, write skeleton reactions with the correct formulas and subscripts, right, and then balance them. Right? Then you're going to upload a video to Flipgrid explaining how and why each reaction is balanced. All right, so I'm going to go into this in a little bit more detail for how you go about this assignment, right? And this will be in the summative category and will count as a test. And in fact, I'm expecting all of you guys to get 5s. Right? Because you have the whole world at your fingertips in terms of being able to find information about these two reactions and how to write them and balance them. But ultimately, you need to take that understanding back to your video. So first of all, you need to figure out which two reactions you are responsible for. So what I need you to do first is go to that Google Sheet. So if you're in period 2, you would obviously open up Google Sheet for period 2. You'd find your name, right? So let's say this is me, Lavender, right? And it tells me that I will find my reactions in document number 1. Okay, once I figured out which document to open, I would then open up document number 1, right, which will also be on Google Classroom, right? And on that document, I will find my two reactions. And essentially, right, you will see, so you'll see your two reactions listed. Then, right, you need to do some pre-work, right? So you'll see the two reactions that you're responsible for. And the 3 things you're going to have to do, right, is first of all, we're going to go back to our previous part of this unit where you're going to have to identify what type of reaction that is and use those patterns from reaction types to predict what your products ought to be, right? You will then write the skeleton equation with the correct formulas, right? So going back to that central point I was trying to drive home early in the balancing reactions unit is first we have to write the skeleton reaction with the correct subscripts and formulas, right? Then you will show us how to balance that, right? By adding those coefficients where necessary. Okay, now you're just going to do that on a separate piece of paper in your notebook, go through the trial and error, figure out how to do it all correctly first. Remember, you've got your notes you can use, and you've got the whole world of the interweb at your disposal, right? You could probably even find like tutorial videos or whatever for how to do it. Okay, ultimately, you're going to bring this back to us on Flipgrid, right? Show me your two reactions. Show us how you figured out how to write them correctly, how you figured out how to balance them correctly, etc. All right? So once you've got that all figured out, right, you've got the correctly written formulas with their subscripts, and then you've added coefficients to go about balancing everything, right? Then you will make your video. And the video needs to contain the following. First of all, you have to talk about the law of conservation of matter, which helps us describe why we have to balance things in the first place. 2, you need to tell us how you know what type of reaction it is. In other words, what pattern did you use to predict it? Okay. How did you figure out the skeleton equations? In other words, if you're writing a formula, let's say for aluminum chloride, right? How did you know you were going to, how did you predict that you were going to have aluminum chloride as a product, right? And then how did you know to put that 3 there, for example? Okay, that kind of thing. When I say the how you figured out that skeleton equation, right? Then, right, you're going to talk about how you decided on the correct coefficients, right? And so that is the balancing part. Okay, and you'll walk us through, and you can do this in several different ways. If you want to do a Google slide with a Screencastify video where you just kind of go through kind of like what I'm doing right here, right now for you. describing that. You can figure out how to upload that to Flipgrid. That's great. Or you could just video yourself, in front of a piece of butcher paper or something. Or I don't really care how you go about it. You have creative leeway as long as it is a video and your video correctly contains all these things. All right. Now, if you want to take a look at how I'm going to decide on scoring, just take a look at the rubric that's on Google Classroom, and that should provide you with any other details that you might need. All right. Now, if you have questions and you're uncertain of some things, right? I'm not going to just give this to you guys and say you're on your own, right? So you can message me through Remind if it's just a quick little question. Likewise with Gmail, right? Now, if you would like additional help, which means you need some help with the explaining part, right? Maybe Remind or Gmail are not the best option for that explanation, right? We can do a quick Google Meet. We can set up a little time there during which you'd probably see me in my classroom, and I would get out the whiteboard marker on my whiteboard. You'd be in your workspace at home, and we would act as if we were here at school, right? But I could essentially help you think through some things, right? I'm not going to just give you the answer, right? Then you got to put my name on your assignment, right? I want you guys to do the work here, but I miss you guys, and I miss teaching you directly, so that actually will be kind of fun for me, as weird and nerdy as that sounds, right? So this might be an option that we explore. We just set up a time, right? And we'll figure out a way to make it work. All right. Good luck, you guys. Get in touch with me. I want to give all kinds of 5s as we go through this. Okay? Miss ya.